Today, something unusual is stirring in the heart of the global currency market. A quiet move, whispered about in trading rooms and online investor communities, has suddenly captured the attention of thousands of Iraqi dinar holders worldwide. The talk is not just about another rumor, it's about what many are calling a huge gift for those who have patiently held on to this currency for years. The latest activity in the foreign exchange market is setting off a wave of speculation, like we haven't seen in a long time. And here's the thing, it's not just chatter anymore. Numbers on the screens are starting to shift. The Forex rates are showing patterns that make seasoned traders lean in a little closer. Could this be the moment when all the waiting, all the patience, and all the hope finally begin to pay off? Stay with me, because what I'm about to share might make you see the dinar in a whole new light. The buzz started quietly just a few days ago, with small but noticeable movements in certain trading windows. At first, many dismissed it as noise. After all, the dinar has had its share of false starts before. But this time, something feels different. The rise is not dramatic enough to cause a shock, yet it's steady enough to turn heads. Think of it like a tide that's coming in slowly but with unstoppable force. This is where the term huge gift begins to make sense. For long-time holders, even the smallest change in valuation can translate into life-changing outcomes. Right now, analysts are seeing signs that Iraq's currency might be positioning itself for something bigger, something carefully timed, possibly supported by deeper economic strategies. Imagine opening your trading app and seeing the dinar moving upward bit by bit, not as a sudden spike that fades, but as a climb that gains strength every single day. Why now? That's the question that keeps echoing through chat rooms and conference calls. Some point to Iraq's recent financial and political stability moves. Others highlight the shift away from dollar dependency, which has been a long-term goal of the country's economic planners. In simple terms, Iraq is creating more room for the dinar to stand strong on its own, and that's exactly the kind of foundation a currency needs before it can rise. This is where the Forex rates rising part gets interesting. It's not just about the dinar's number today, it's about the trend. Markets respond to momentum, and right now, momentum seems to be quietly building. For some traders, that's the biggest clue they need. Because when a currency starts moving in the right direction with no sudden collapses, it builds trust. And trust, it's exactly what makes more investors jump in. It's creating a chain reaction that can push value higher. In private circles, there's talk about the possibility of a controlled float, a method where the dinar would be allowed to move more freely based on supply and demand. Rather than staying locked to a fixed rate, it wouldn't be an overnight shock, it would be a step-by-step rise. And here's the suspense. When a float starts, it can catch people off guard because the movement begins quietly, and then accelerates. Imagine watching the rate climb by small increments in the morning, then a little more by afternoon, and suddenly realizing that the pace is picking up. For holders, this scenario feels like the perfect storm, a safe, sustainable way for the sustainable way for the value to grow without risking a crash. That's why so many are glued to their screens right now, scanning for any sign that the float theory could become reality in 2025. One of the biggest talking points among experts is timing. Why would Iraq choose this particular moment to make such a move? The answer might lie in a combination of rising oil prices, strength in trade partnerships, and an improving political climate. Iraq's oil revenue has been a backbone for its economy, and when those numbers go up, so does the country's financial confidence. Add to that the country's growing ability to manage its own currency policies without heavy external dependence. And you start to see why 2025 feels like a turning point. It's as if all the pieces that have been scattered for years are finally coming together on the board. If a controlled float does begin now, Iraq could ride the wave of favorable global conditions while still maintaining enough control to protect its economy. This is the sweet spot every currency dreams of, and some say Iraq is standing right on the edge of it. But here's where the emotional side kicks in. For many Iraqi dinar holders, this isn't just about economics, it's about personal transformation. People who have held the dinar for years often share similar stories: the long nights of doubt, the countless rumors, the cycles of hope and disappointment. They've learned patience in a way most investors never have to. Now, with rates slowly showing upward signs, there's a quiet fire building inside these communities. They talk about paying off debts, securing homes, funding education for their children, or even helping others in need. The idea of a huge gift isn't just about making money, it's about rewriting their futures. And that's why every slight tick upward in the Forex rate feels like a spark of possibility. Every movement becomes another reason to believe that maybe, just maybe, the waiting is about to pay off. Some insiders are also speculating about potential debt forgiveness deals in the background. This is one of those rare moves that could instantly change a country's financial balance sheet. Imagine if Iraq's external debt was reduced or even wiped away in significant amounts. Suddenly, the government would have more breathing room to invest in growth and stability. That kind of shift would send a powerful message to the global market: Iraq is ready to rise. And when markets get that kind of message, they tend to respond quickly. Could such a development be part of a larger plan leading up to a currency adjustment? No one outside the highest levels of government truly knows. But the idea alone is enough to send waves of speculation through online investor groups. People are watching for any sign that this once far-fetched possibility might become reality, of course. Not everyone agrees on how this will play out. Some believe Iraq will shock the world with an overnight rate change, flipping the financial switch in a single move. Others insist that a gradual float is the safer, more realistic approach. What's fascinating is that both camps are equally convinced they're right, and both have compelling reasons. An overnight change would create immediate excitement, but could also cause global market turbulence. A slow float, on the other hand, would build trust and stability but require more patience. This split in opinion is exactly why conversations around the dinar never die. It's not just about facts, it's about belief. And belief is what keeps people checking rates, discussing scenarios, and holding on despite all the uncertainty. One thing's for certain: Iraq's recent financial reforms are not being ignored by the global market. The modernization of its banking system, the push for electronic payment solutions, and the expansion of trade beyond traditional partners are all strong signals of a country preparing for bigger things. These changes are not cosmetic, they are structural, and structural changes are what lay the groundwork for lasting currency value. In simple terms, Iraq is not the same country it was 5 or 10 years ago. It's more connected, more stable, and more confident in steering its own financial destiny. And when a nation starts showing those qualities, it naturally draws the attention of investors who might have previously overlooked it. That's why the dinar story feels so different. This time, there's also a growing sense that international players might have a vested interest in seeing the dinar rise. Regional partners benefit when Iraq's economy is strong. It means more trade, more security, and more stability in the region. Even global economic powers could see a strong dinar as a way to balance currency flows and diversify their investments. This raises the possibility that behind closed doors, deals and agreements might already be shaping the dinar's future. While nothing is confirmed, the timing of certain diplomatic visits and economic announcements has certainly caught the eye of seasoned observers. It's as if there's a quiet choreography happening. One that might only make sense when we see the full picture later. For Forex traders, the current market movements are like the first tremors before an earthquake, small enough to ignore. If you're not paying attention but impossible to dismiss once you've noticed them, every fraction of a cent the dinar gains creates ripples of excitement in trading communities. And those ripples have a way of turning into waves if momentum continues. The psychology of markets is powerful. When enough people believe something, it's happening, their actions can actually make it happen faster. In other words, belief fuels demand and demand fuels value. Right now, belief in the dinar's rise is running high. In homes around the world, people are already imagining what even a modest increase in the dinar's value could mean. For some, it's the possibility of finally retiring comfortably. For others, it's the chance to start a business they've dreamed about for years. And for many, it's about security, knowing they can take care of their families without constant financial stress. This emotional connection is what makes the dinar story so unique. It's not just a currency, it's a symbol of hope, resilience, and the belief that patience can be rewarded in ways you never expected. That's why the current rise in Forex rates feels so electric right now. Now, let's address the big question everyone's asking. How high could the dinar go if this trend continues? Predictions range wildly from modest gains that still deliver life-changing returns to ambitious targets matching regional powerhouses like Kuwait. Realistically, no one can give an exact number. But what matters more is direction, not destination. If the dinar starts climbing steadily, every step upward will boost confidence, attract more investors, and create even more upward pressure. It's a chain reaction that can be very hard to stop once it starts. Some market watchers believe that Iraq may be intentionally holding back any sudden moves until global conditions are perfect. This means waiting for oil prices to stabilize at favorable levels, ensuring regional trade agreements are fully in place, and confirming that their banking system can handle increased activity without disruption. If this is true, then what we're seeing now might just be the opening act, a carefully planned build-up to something far more dramatic later in the year. That's why patient holders are so determined to stick it out, even when skeptics roll their eyes. Speaking of skeptics, it's worth noting that even some longtime doubters are starting to soften their tone. While they still urge caution, they admit that Iraq's current path looks far more promising than in previous years. The shift away from the dollar, the modernization of financial systems, and the strengthening of international partnerships are hard to ignore. For many, these are not just political moves, they're economic signals. And economic signals often point to financial change. What's happening right now feels like the merging of two powerful forces: cold, hard economic logic on one side and deeply human hope on the other. This combination is rare in the financial world. Usually, markets move on numbers alone. But here, the numbers are feeding the emotion, and the emotion is feeding the market. That's why the Iraqi dinar story refuses to fade away. It's not just about profits, it's about the possibility of a better future in the coming weeks. Every budget announcement, central bank update, and government statement will be dissected for clues. Even the smallest phrase could be interpreted as a hint toward what's coming. This is how closely people are watching now. It's not an exaggeration to say that in the dinar community, news travels at lightning speed. And with Forex rates already showing movement, the appetite for updates is only getting stronger. For some, the dream is to see the dinar rise cent by cent, day by day, until it reaches a level that transforms their lives. For others, it's the fantasy of waking up one morning to a shocking overnight change. Both scenarios are alive in people's minds right now, and both keep the conversation burning. The truth? No one knows exactly which path Iraq will take. But the belief that something is coming is stronger than ever. This is why the phrase, huge gift, has become so popular among holders in recent weeks. It's a way of expressing that whatever is about to happen, whether small and steady or big and sudden, will feel like a reward for the years of patience, hope, and faith. And in a way, that's what makes this moment so unique. Even without certainty, the community is united in anticipation. So as we watch the Forex screens and listen for the next announcement, one thing is clear: the Iraqi dinar story in 2025 is far from over. In fact, it may be entering its most exciting chapter yet. The movements we're seeing now could be the early signs of a transformation that many have dreamed of for over a decade. Whether it's a slow climb or a sudden leap, the energy surrounding the dinar is undeniable. And for those holding on, every passing day feels like one step closer to the moment they've been waiting for. Stay tuned, because when the next move comes, it could change everything.